This program is called Tough Talk to Tender Hearts because it's not an easy conversation, is it? It's not easy to talk about sex with your spouse, much less with your child. So we're going to try to bring down some of that fear and bring down some of those barriers that we face in talking about it. Some of the themes that we're going to cover in this workshop, we're going to look at teachable moments. When are those teachable moments and what are those teachable moments? And we're going to talk about what's normal development. A lot of parents ask me, should my 5-year-old be asking me about sex or where babies come from? And it's like, yes, they're curious. They're discovering. So yes, they should be asking you. And we're going to talk about what your responsibility is as an adult to be able to educate your child. We're going to talk about how to initiate that conversation, which we're scared to death of. We're going to talk about how we can build trust and open communication. So when there is a threat in your child's life, who's the first person they're going to run to? They're going to run to you because they know they can trust you and they know that they can talk about this with you. And then we're going to talk a little more about disclosure. We hit on it in the last class, but we're going to go a little further with that. The talk, right? It's the talk, and it's one talk that we want to have with our child. And when does that talk usually want to take place? Around puberty, right? When they start developing, you think, okay, now their body's changing. We need to talk to them about sex. No. Thank you. Somebody knows now. That's not when the talk needs to take place. It doesn't need to be just one talk. It needs to be layers of talk over time, layers of conversation. And think about when you were a child. And we're going to be using material from this book that you were all given a copy of. It's called Talking to Your Kids About Sex. This is a wonderful book written by Mark Lesueur, and he is trained. He is a PhD. So all of our reference material comes from this. And it's a great book to be able to kind of discover what your first experiences were with sex. And if you were traumatized, or if your parents maybe kept silent, or if they put some aura of shame around the discussion of sex, then think about how that has impacted your ability to be able to talk to your child about sex. And so the first part of his book is saying, okay, let's go back and let's try to think about how you were introduced to sex. Did a friend in the 2nd grade show you a picture of a naked woman? Did you ask a question and were you shut down immediately? So we go back and we look at kind of our experiences as children, and then he delves into what did you want to know as a child? Well, chances are the same things that you wanted to know, your child wants to know. And it's a spirit of curiosity that we don't want to shut down, but we want to meet that curiosity with good, solid truth and good, solid answers. And then how did you feel about sex as a child? So we're going to look into that. An informed child is a safer child, and I think we've reiterated that in every workshop that we've had. We talked about it's a slow process over years of increasing the scope and the depth of the topics as the child grows. You cannot have the same conversation with a 3-year-old that you're going to have with a 13-year-old, right? So we need to temper, how mature the child is. Every child matures differently, too. My 4-year-old wanted to know about sex. It was just, Mommy, what is sex? And we had to have that conversation at 4. So we have to decide what our child in their developmental phase is able to understand. And we need to give it to them in words that they can understand. If we communicate to our children during non-threatening moments, then we're going to be able to help them talk. And it's going to make those threatening times easier when they have a question or they have been put at risk in some way. Everyday opportunities present discussion topics. You guys, we are inundated with sex in our society. We look at TV, we look at billboards, even on the radio sometimes. You can't listen to a radio program. Those are all opportunities for us to have discussion topics with our children. And it's opportunities for relaxed, casual conversation. I think if we sit a child down and we say, we're going to talk about sex, their knees start knocking, right? But if we have these conversations in the car, we have them at the movie theater, we have them around TV, or we have them around supper, we make it a casual, ongoing conversation. And it's times to reinforce family values and to build trust. I don't know about you guys, but I really don't want the media teaching my child about sex and about values. I really don't want my next door neighbor, or I don't want a peer. I want to teach them what God intended sex to be, between a man and a woman that is married, and it's a special gift that God gives us. And we begin to take the fear away from sex and teach children what sex is. In a movie, even if you take your child to a PG movie, a PG-13 movie, there's going to be sex in that movie. There's going to be language in that movie. You need to tell your child that this is not, at that moment, talk to your child about what they're seeing and how it makes them feel. When your child comes to you and they talk about other children touching each other or looking at each other, we need to explain to our children that is not okay. During and after bath times, I know my children were little. We used bath times. When they were 2 years old, I would give them the washcloth, and then they would be in control of washing their private parts. And I would reinforce that those are their special parts for only them to touch, for only them to see. When might someone want to touch your private parts or see your private parts? And we talked about that. Maybe if you're at preschool and someone needs to help you with hygiene. Maybe if you're at the doctor's office and someone needs to examine you and they need to ask mommy permission to do that. So bath times are wonderful teachable moments. In your annual doctor's visits, when you're on the way to the doctor with your child, those are great cues that you can remember, okay, this might be a teachable moment. Just like you have cues in your life to change your fire alarm battery, right, in your home.